Always Sunny, 17 seasons. You're on your 17th season right now.
Yep.
I mean, that's not done in show business. Is there a moment where you're like, how are we just going to keep going? Are we going to break all the records? Because it's incredible. It's a credit to you guys to be able to do something, keep it that funny for that long, that people keep loving it.
Thank you. I think that this season that's coming out today or tomorrow is the funniest season, maybe the funniest season we've ever done.
That's a pretty high bar.
Definitely the funniest of the last like decade. And Charlie and I both agreed. We were sitting in the editing room watching episode, I don't know, 6 or 7. And we were like, wow, this is probably the funniest season that we've ever done. And I think it's just because I value people's time beyond anything else. Like the one commodity that we can't buy more of or get more of. People live tough lives. I know that Sunny, for some people, is just something that they can sit at home and makes them laugh when they've come home from a tough day or they're, got something brutal going on in their lives, and they could just watch a bunch of terrible people be terrible people, and it makes them laugh. Mm-hmm. So I take that very seriously. And for as silly and ridiculous as the show is, the work that we put into it comes out of respect for people's time.
Yeah.
And I feel like if people are going to show up for us week after week, year after year, like generation after generation, then at the very least, I owe them the time to put into it to make it to be the best that I can make it.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question about the upcoming season? And you have to tell me and be truthful with your answer. Mm-hmm. Ryan Reynolds, is he in it?
No.
Was that truthful? Oh, he did.
That's truthful.
Was that truthful? Because there was a whole is he going to be your boyfriend thing that you guys tossed around a little bit?
No, he's not. He's not. Okay. He cut me out of Deadpool. He's yeah. I'll keep him in the documentary, but
okay.
That's that, and the Coxa one.
Anything.
Money's my thing.
You can edit him out of whatever you want.
Yeah. When you guys are sitting there though, editing season 17, you're like, this is the best season. Do you take a moment and sit back and be like, what's the story? The pilot, you went to like a Best Buy and got like a camcorder, because that's before cell phones that had video, like $200, and
I got a Best Buy card that I couldn't, and I bought a camera I couldn't afford, and we actually bought 2 of them so we could cross shoot them, much like this.
Yeah.
And what's wild is those cameras we shot on VHS, so there's still our original home movie is on VHS.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
And then you went out and pitched it, and you actually had like a pretty good success of like people wanting it, right?
Yeah, we made the first one, but we made the first one and it wasn't good enough, so we did it again, and then we kept going, made like 3 or 4 iterations of it until finally we were like, okay, maybe this is pretty good. But I knew that if we were going to take it out, I was a waiter at the time, so and working and prior to that I was a bar back in a bar, so I wanted them to entrust me with running this television series. I was 26, and so I thought we should make a second episode, because that'll prove that it's not just one fluke.
Yeah.
So we made a second episode that turned out pretty great from our perspective. We then took it out to the town, and almost everybody made us an offer, because we knew we could keep it cheap, and it was something different.
That in itself is kind of unheard of, that like everyone made you an offer. And then your decision to go with FX, I love that story, because you knew, you had the foresight to be like, they're going to give us the space creatively to go to places that maybe not everyone else does. Whereas a lot of people would just, in your position, 26, waiting, giving me the most money.
Yeah, there was an inflection point where we had offers, and when we got the offers, and this is also a benefit of having multiple offers, we went back with, we had one demand, and that demand was that I would be the showrunner, that Glenn and Charlie would be executive producers, we would direct the episodes, write the episodes, because we didn't want to bring in, it happens all the time where they say, oh, okay, these kids made something, now let's bring in an adult or a professional. And everybody said, oh, sorry, pass, except FX. John Landgraf, who runs that place and still does, said, okay.
But do you guys having that ability to be like, hey, this is what we have to do? I think that's just very rare. I think a lot of people, especially hungry, trying to get into the business there, they'll just take whatever offer is given to them and then find out the hard way that things change when you start getting up to the big leagues.
Yeah, we just had a belief in ourselves that we could execute, and that to be honest with you, we didn't want to bring in Danny in season
Really?
2. No. Our knee-jerk reaction was not that we had anything against Danny. Danny's an icon and hilarious, and but he was a movie star. And we thought, well, if we bring in a movie star, they could screw up the dynamic, and we feel like we've got a pretty good thing going. So then Landgraf said, okay, well, you have a choice. You can either bring in a star or you can not do the show. And we were like, let's do option A.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And then it just so happened, it's like we hit the lottery again because Danny was incredible and slipped right into what we were trying to do. He is, when people are like, what's Danny really like? I say, okay, picture Danny DeVito in your head. That's what he's like.
That's it. Yeah.
And you know how some people, they ain't who they putting out in the world? He is.
Wait, so how quickly were you like, this works with Danny? Knowing that it was a little bit forced on you.
Yeah.
But was there a moment, like even the first time or the second episode, where you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome?
It actually happened when he, as part of his contract, he said, okay, I'll do it, but you only get me for 2 weeks to shoot an entire season of the show. We shoot really fast, but only having 2 weeks is not a lot, which means we had to front load all of his stuff in the beginning. So, and he was taking a risk on us, and we said, okay, fine, great. So we got about halfway through the first week, about Wednesday, and he could see that we were like really jamming, but he was having so much fun. And he pulled me aside and he goes, I'll give you as much time as you need.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we then kept him for another, we wanted to still be respectful. I think we only took another week or something like that, or 2 weeks. And there was that moment. And then subsequent to that, there was a time in which, maybe episode 3 or 4, he walks in and there was a bunch of space that we didn't realize was there. And I said, okay, when you come in, you'll just have some space before you get to the next line. So just say whatever you want. And he said, well, what should I say? And I said, Danny DeVito, man, I want you to say whatever you want to say. And he said, here, come in for a second. I said, what? He pulls me aside and he's like, I'm here because I'm old and you're young and you know what's funny. And what I think is funny is what my generation thought was funny. But I want to speak to your generation. So you tell me what to say, and I'm going to say it to the best of my ability. And so I did. I wrote something. He said it. He walked in, and that was that. But not only did that help with the chemistry of our show, it taught me a very important lesson that I take with me to this day, which is to always be listening to the next generation or the next generation after that, because they're the ones that are dictating what the culture is.
Yeah.
That's why we listen to Zach. That's what we're going to do.
Zach. Yeah.
That's next
before we get too
Transitioning
old.
to pouring concrete.
That's our podcast now.
We had Danny on the show, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago maybe. He told a great story about you guys and the April Fool's joke that you played. Where everybody on the show fucked him in the ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he got to the last page and it said April Fool's. And now, was he into the script like after 3-4 pages? Did he like tolerate
as he tells the story? I mean, we wrote, it was actually us and the Chernin brothers who have worked with us and for us for years, and they also created my wife's other show called The Mick, and they're just like crazy funny guys. And we had an idea, but you don't have a lot of time in the writer's room, but April Fool's was coming up, and Danny had done a few pranks, pulled a few pranks on us, and we thought, how can we outdo him? And we pitched it to the guys, and the guys sent us back a draft, and Charlie and I then took a pass and went really hardcore. But we were like, for it to work, he's got to believe that it's a real script. So like, let's make our storyline as real and as funny as we possibly can be, so he believes that this is true. And then let's have him sent to prison in the opening scene, and then every scene after that is him being abused by different groups in the prison, and each one put their own little spin on how they express themselves in prison. And Danny's body, or Frank's body, I should say. And he said he started like sweating because he thought the rest of the script was funny, and he was like, I don't know what the punchline is going to be, but man, I don't know if I can do this, because he's done everything we've asked him to do. And finally, the last line was, "Fuck you, Abe."
That's incredible.
That's so good. You should film that episode for the last.
You really should.
That should be in the last season, whenever that happens to be.
It was brutal. It was graphic.